We start with calls for Palestinian refugees in Gaza with family in this country to be allowed to move to the UK. Almost 60 groups, including the Refugee Council and Care for Calais, want Home Secretary James Cleverly to start a Ukraine-style visa scheme. Around 174,000 Ukrainian refugees moved to the UK after Russia's invasion in February 2022. And authorities in Gaza say more than 30,000 people have been killed in the territory since Hamas attacked Israel on the 7th of October. Well, joining me now to discuss this is former senior military intelligence officer Philip Ingram. Philip, welcome to the show. We have no idea who currently comes into Britain over the Channel. We know full well that there is a war in Gaza. It's a war that ostensibly Britain has taken the opposing side on by backing Israel. We know that in 1992, when 321 Palestinian refugees were taken to Denmark, 64% of them went on to have criminal records. What could possibly go wrong, Philip, with bringing these people to Britain?
Well, with Hamas inexorably integrated into the population, it would be very difficult to identify who is Hamas and who isn't Hamas. And that's the reason why this argument and this cry is, it's academic completely, because the Palestinian people inside Gaza can't get out. They can't get out because the Egyptians aren't letting them across the border because of Hamas's links to the Muslim Brotherhood, and Egypt doesn't want Palestinian refugees in its country. No other Arab country wants Palestinian refugees in there because of their historical links into causing disruption. And then the only other ways that they could potentially get out is through Israel. And Israel's not going to let Palestinians come out through their borders to go elsewhere. So, it's great, these organizations saying we should allow this. They're doing it merely to make noise.
Yeah, and the Ukrainian scheme, of course, is very, very different. We were fighting on the same side. We culturally have a lot in common. And let's not forget, it was only women and children, because the men, of course, of conscription age at least, had to remain behind to fight. The truth of the matter is that we would have absolutely no clue who we were letting into the country. And it's absolutely within the realms of possibility that Hamas would specifically and deliberately place individuals within this civilian group to try and cause us harm, surely.
Oh, 100% they'd try and do that. And Hamas would stop lots of legitimate individuals wanting to get out. That is, if those individuals have got the paperwork that would need to be able to prove that they've got these links and everything else. And of course, we've got no consular access into Gaza. So again, it's great, these groups making all these calls and causing all this noise, but nobody's thought it through. There's no practical solution to it whatsoever. The situations are completely different, and the threat to the UK by allowing people in who we cannot necessarily confirm exactly who they are is too great, far too great.
Philip, we had Kevin Maguire in from the Mirror earlier on. He was saying, well, why not have an identical scheme where women and children are allowed, if we're concerned about Hamas military-aged men, as it were? But does that still carry risks? I mean, terrorists come in all shapes and sizes, don't they?
Yeah, we've got, look at Shamima Begum, who went off to join ISIS. One of the most horrible terrorist organizations that there is in the world. Women can equally be members of terror organizations and carry out things, but it's the practicalities of it. Hamas won't let the people out. Egypt won't let the people into Egypt to be processed. Israel won't let the people into Israel to be processed. And we've got no consular access into Gaza whatsoever. So there's no mechanism in place at the moment for a visa scheme to be put in place, even if it were justified in any way, shape or form. So it's completely different to Ukraine. It's completely different to anything else that's there. Impractical, and it's just making noise for noise's sake.
And Philip, we've had hundreds and hundreds of emails, and the most common one that we're having is one from Adam Brooks, friend of the show. No, there's plenty of Middle Eastern countries surrounding them. Not our place. We have no room. But of course, Philip, historically, we've seen Palestinian refugees, for example, going into the Lebanon, and that led to a 15-year civil war.
Well, it did, and across the whole of the Middle East, we've got large Palestinian populations in the West Bank in Israel, which cause Israel a security problem. But that's partially stirred by the more extreme elements of the Israeli Jewish community taking over land by force in places. But of course, the Palestinian Authority had a civil war which lasted almost a week with Hamas whenever Hamas took over the Gaza Strip. So there's issues amongst the Palestinian people. None of the other Arab countries want. Even Lebanon, with your Lebanese Hezbollah, would not necessarily want all of the Palestinian people to go up there. They've got their own problems. But Egypt has got capacity, has got space, will not have them. Jordan is one of the countries that's most closely linked to Palestine, and the people have similar backgrounds. Jordan doesn't want them, and none of the other Arab countries do. So this call for the UK to take on more and more individuals, or for other countries in Europe who are dealing with massive crisis of movement of people anyway, is just out there to create noise and try and create headlines.
Superb. Thanks for joining us on the show. And that's former senior military intelligence officer Philip Ingram, MBE. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure.